on his day, he's one of the best fantasy picks in the game, arguably, even better than like Rory Laird and others of the past. How much are we overanalyzing his first preseason game without stats? But the new question that I'm going to be answering in today's video is, do I even keep Tom Mitchell? Or I'll look around 50k either side of Tom Mitchell's 853k price tag and see, are there any players that I think are almost just as valuable in taking a potential, what I believed was a 15 to 20 point jump in their average. Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I will be going through the massive dilemma now with Tom Mitchell, as you've seen in the introduction that I've done, the introduction package. As I guess there's been a huge reaction now with the first practice match and the role that Tom Mitchell's probably going to play and how it's not going to be maybe as fantasy friendly. So remember to like and subscribe as more content will be coming out. Hopefully back to almost a daily schedule of uploading around in the mid to early afternoons. And yeah, so let's get into the video. I've moved my face camera over to the other side just to make it easier for you guys to see the players on this one, since we'll be going through. I'll be going 50k either side of Tom Mitchell at 853k, and then at the end we'll go through Tom Mitchell and how I personally believe he will go this year. You've got Josh Kelly, but I think there's you got Cornelio, Callahan, and Tom Green there, so I don't think I can go all four in the midfield for the Giants, because I think that's just too much risk. You will score well because GWS has to score in the midfield, but you're leaking scores by picking potentially a bottom midfielder out of a group rather than taking more risk and getting the top midfielders from each group, which could potentially be a 100-point swing each week. Then you got Darcy Parish. He's actually looked alright, so that's a guy I could look to getting into. 35k, I have 39k spare, so I could get him, and I've been pretty high on him, and I think now with what's happened in week 1, it looks alright for him. Luke Parker, he's more of a highlighted because he's a late game type guy, and I'll go back to him in the later stages. George Hewitt, again, isn't that volatile in terms of high scoring, but he's not going to gain much more value. Noah Anderson's the type of guy that you can look into getting at that price, but 870k, I think he could actually do well now that Tukes, I believe, I don't know 100%, but he's in doubt for round 1, I believe, or he's not going to play the rest of the preseason with, I believe he got a hamstring injury, so maybe you look at Noah Anderson, that now he maybe comes up a little bit more. Jaden Short's the type of guy that I could look to getting in, and then that helps sort out the down back, I guess, and that'll get me basically already 1, 2, 3, potentially 4, maybe even if Constable's roll's good, 5 or so defenders locked in. Wines, Keys has a terrible roll. Carl Amon just won't get the disposals needed. Treloar could be interesting. I think he's down back this year, so maybe he gets that defender status and can just sit at D5 basically the whole year once the dual position players come out. He's one to look into. Viney, again, also another guy to look into. I think if you take out, I think he had a bad game. If you take that bad game, the potential injury game it might have been. If we look here, not the best scores, and then he had a 71 here. If you take that 71 out, he basically averages 98, and that's also, I believe. So 98 average is pretty good, and he should go up, I believe. So he's definitely one to look into. Cam Guthrie is just he's a again, like a lot of these midfielders at this price, I don't see much upside in him. Jai Simpkin, I could see it, but I think LDU's the one to go for from North. Taranto, another guy, but I think I'd rather put him in the forward line. So, it's tough. I think he's definitely one that you could look to get to and then have a big forward line and then use my Errol Goulden money to have. But then again, you having only 700Kers in the midfield is pretty iffy. Brody just won't get the time on ground needed, I don't think. Boak, I think, is already injured, potentially. Crisp is not the best, I don't think, at that price. I think I even have him in my spreadsheet going down in average. Matthew Kennedy, another guy you could look at, especially with Sam Walsh out. But 0.3% ownership, I don't think I want to play with pod that differential. Luke Davis Jr. is definitely a guy I'm looking into. Because if I can get him, 824K, that gets me another 29K, getting me up to 58K. 58K. I can almost go down to Tom Green here and get, which will be another 9K on top of Golden, which would be 68K. I could almost, I believe, if my math is right, I could get Tim Taranto in the forward line as well as having Tom Green and LDU, which could be an interesting one. I might have to drop Wardlaw down to someone else just to free up a little bit more cash, but that is definitely an option. Jared Lyons, I don't think will get the role. I could go Whitfield, and then he'll just slide down back, as that could actually be a very good option. I know that I have a lot of GWS players, but I think that could be a good option for me, as I think he returns back to, now that we know his role. What did he do in 2021? 94 average, 2021, 85, 113. He could easily go back to 113s here, 105, 110, which, going off his 2022 average, is, 15 to 20 above as a premium, when as premium players I'm looking for plus 10 to 12 at that price. So yeah, he's certainly one that I think I need to highlight and look into. Then you got Libba. I do have him going up in average due to Dunkley leaving, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think I have him going up 5 or so. So yeah, and then you got Blickarves, who I think will just stay around that price. So now to move on to Tom Mitchell and my thoughts about him. 22% ownership. I swear I thought it was around 20%, but I guess it's gone a little bit up. I'll probably put I'll show something at the moment showing that he's a Twitter post showing that he's the highest drop in percentage ownership since the first round of the preseason. Right now, I'm gonna probably at the moment just hold onto it, as I want to see the first round of the scored preseason to see if that is true, that his role is gonna be bad, as in, is he? Because the problem is that I think even in a midfield that he isn't going to get the 40-45 touches. I think he can still get the 30 touches. And if we look here, I don't think he's the worst tackler. If we look here, we look at his stats here. He had, 96 tackles last year? That's 4 a game. So if we're basically here is, I think he's going to keep up the 30 or so disposals because he's going to get a more midfield role, right? That's going to happen. He's been brought into Collingwood to play more midfield. He's not going to pick up the pig role that he did back in, 2019 probably? No, 2018 I'm guessing. 2018, where he was having 54, 40, 41. Bad game here. 45, 29. If you look here, he had, almost 780 odd disposals in 22 games. That's 34 a game. Whereas in 2022, he had around 580, 590 in 21 games. So that's a drop of almost 10 disposals a game just because of his positioning. If he's in the full-time mid, I reckon he goes up another 5 disposals a game, up towards that, probably 29, 30, 31 disposals per game type player, and he gets another tackle or 2 per game. We're looking at potentially another 10 or so and 15 points upside right there, just from his role changing and him getting more tackles and stuff than he did last year. So I do think it is a very reactionary type decision from a lot of people. And also, if we look at 2018, we'll see here, he scored 12 goals as well. So 12, he had 5 the last year. If we look at this one, 10 goals. So I do expect him also playing with the Magpies to have a little bit more goal threat. So I know that that's not going to really look as much, but another 5 or 10 goals than what he kicked the previous year is already a point or 2 average better. So I'm just trying to think of it as, I do think he's got a much better role than what he did in 2022. I think he's in a better side, obviously. So I think those disposals, and I think he, especially against the Swans, it's shown that I don't think he needs to have the big 40 disposal games to do well. I think it's with him, especially with the role he's going to get, I don't think he's going to have these 15, 20, low 20 disposal games much more. So I think if he can just have like a baseline of 23 or so, 22 disposals a game, he'll have a baseline score, a bottom out score of almost 80, which means that he's going to average, I think he's still going to average 105, 106. It's just whether do I think LDU or Whitfield can get better value for money at that price. And it is a good question, I guess, to have to answer. So now if I go back to the main screen, that's my whole Tom Mitchell debates video for, I guess, this AFL preseason week 2 start before we get a lot of the games. Remember to like and subscribe as more videos, especially more, I guess, niche topics about AFL fantasy will come out now as the community starts to question a lot of their preseason predictions and stuff. So videos like this and player comparisons will come out. So if you want to see the other AFL fantasy playlist, there will be a playlist in the bottom right. And if you want to see my team previews, it'll be in the top right. And yeah, thanks guys, goodbye.